Welcome to the Mindful Practice Podcast, a space for physicians navigating burnout, identity shifts, and career change without pressure or judgment. I'm your host, Dr. Bertina Hooks, a board-certified internal medicine physician, coach, and writer. Here we talk honestly about what it means to build a sustainable career and a life beyond medicine and survival. The white coat myth: when your identity becomes a cage. The moment we put on the white coat. There's a moment almost every physician remembers. Standing in a room, often with your family watching, your name is called, your short white coat placed gently on your shoulders. The white coat ceremony is meant to mark a beginning. It symbolizes trust, integrity, compassion, professional responsibility. It's a rite of passage, a public promise. You're told, this coat represents who you are becoming. And in that moment, it feels true. For many of us, the white coat isn't just fabric. It's validation. Proof that the years of sacrifice were worth it. That we belong. But what no one tells you is this. The white coat doesn't just symbolize professionalism. Over time, it can begin to replace identity. And when that happens, quietly, slowly, the symbol meant to honor you can begin to confine you. Today, we're talking about the white coat myth, the story that medicine must define you, sustain you, and justify your suffering. This isn't about rejecting medicine. It's about reclaiming yourself. What the white coat was meant to symbolize. Let's pause here because symbolism matters. Historically, the white coat represented cleanliness, scientific rigor, accountability, ethical responsibility. It was meant to say, you are entrusted with care, not you are required to sacrifice yourself. But medicine just doesn't teach science. It teaches socialization. From the moment you put on that white coat, you are subtly trained to. From the moment you put on that white coat, you are subtle. From the moment you put on that white coat, you are trained to deprioritize your own needs. Internalize responsibility for outcomes you can't control. Equate professionalism with emotional restraint. The white coat becomes armor. And the armor is useful until you forget how to take it off. At some point, many physicians stop wearing the coat and start living inside it. Your value becomes tied to performance, productivity, endurance. And the message shifts from, this coat represents your role, to this coat is who you are. That's where the myth begins. When role becomes identity. Most physicians are primed for this long before medical school. You were likely the responsible one, the high achiever, the helper, the fixer. Medicine didn't create that identity, it rewarded it. By the time you were fully trained, the white coat isn't just symbolic. It's fused to your sense of self. And when identity collapses into role, burnout feels like failure. Doubt feels dangerous. And wanting something different feels shameful. You stop asking, is this sustainable for me? Is this aligned with who I'm becoming? Instead, ask, why can't I handle this? What's wrong with me? That's how the cage forms, not abruptly, but quietly, respectably, with applause. The invisible contract of medicine. There's an unspoken agreement in medicine. You're given status, respect, and security in exchange for your time, energy, and often your well-being. But here's the problem. The contract is rarely revisited. You're expected to be grateful, push through, normalize exhaustion, silence discomfort. And when the white coat starts to feel heavy instead of honorable, you're told that's just how it is. Everyone feels this way. You knew what you signed up for. But the ceremony didn't say you must suffer to be worthy. It said you are entrusted. There is a difference, and confusing the two keeps physicians trapped. When the myth starts to crack. For most physicians, the myth cracks quietly. It doesn't announce itself. It whispers. It sounds like, I shouldn't feel this empty. I'm successful, but not fulfilled. I don't recognize myself anymore. Often the body notices first. Chronic fatigue, anxiety before work, emotional numbness, dread that doesn't make sense. This isn't weakness. It's misalignment. Burnout is often less about workload and more about identity conflict. It's the realization that the person you become no longer fits the role you were expected to play. And that realization can feel terrifying when the white coat has been your anchor. Shame, the strongest bar of the cage. Shame is what keeps the coat on, even when it's suffocating. Because medicine praises endurance, self-sacrifice, silence, and quietly shames uncertainty, change, redefinition. So physicians hide. They hide their doubts, their curiosity, their longing for something different. And shame tells them, if you were a better doctor, this wouldn't happen. This wouldn't bother you. But wanting alignment isn't failure. It's growth. Outgrowing an identity isn't betrayal. It's evolution. Taking the white coat off without burning it. Here's the reframe that changes everything. You don't have to reject the white coat. You just have to stop living inside it. The coat is a role, not a prison, not a personality, not your worth. When physicians begin separating who they are from what they do, curiosity returns, possibility expands, self-trust rebuilds. Medicine becomes one expression of you, not the whole story. Some people stay in clinical medicine, some pivot. Some create hybrid lives. The point isn't the outcome, it's the choice. Freedom begins when the coat becomes something you put on and take off, not something you disappear into. I'd like to share my personal story, my personal white coat story. Before we go any further, I want to pause here because this myth and this journey isn't theoretical for me. I remember my white coat ceremony, standing in that room while my name was called, family watching, that short white coat placed on my shoulders like a blessing. In that moment, the coat felt like validation, like safety, like proof that I had made the right choice in choosing medicine. It answered a question I didn't even realize I had been carrying. Who am I allowed to be? I was the doctor. For a long time, that identity felt grounding. The white coat gave me legitimacy. It gave other people a clear way to understand me. And honestly, it gave me a way to understand myself. But what I didn't know then is that when a symbol becomes your identity, it slowly stops being something you wear and becomes something you live inside. Over time, I didn't just put the white coat on for work. I carried it everywhere. I made decisions based on what a good doctor should do. I ignored discomfort because I told myself this just was part of the deal. And when something fell off, I didn't question the system. I questioned myself. That's when I realized something important. The white coat ceremony was meant to mark a beginning, not a lifetime sentence. The coat was meant to symbolize trust, not erasure of myself or my identity. And confusing the two is where the cage forms. That's why this conversation matters. Because for many physicians, the white coat just doesn't represent professionalism. It quietly becomes identity. And once identity collapses into a role, freedom starts to disappear. Reclaiming the symbol. The white coat ceremony was meant to mark a beginning, not a lifetime sentence. It was meant to symbolize trust, not self-abandonment, service, not silence, integrity, not erasure. You are allowed to evolve beyond the version of yourself that first wore that white coat. You are allowed to redefine success. You are allowed to ask better questions. It is this permission to explore your professional identity that is so important. Now I want you to think about this. Does my identity still serve who I'm becoming? You don't need answers today, just the permission to ask. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being brave enough to look beyond the myth. In the next episode, we will discuss life after the white coat myth. Thank you and have a great day. If this episode resonated with you, beginning to ask the questions about the white coat myth in your identity, please go to my website, pinnaclebusinessacademy.org, to learn more about coaching, webinars, and other resources and tools that can help you in your career clarity and identity self-discovery. Thank you for listening to the Mindful Practice podcast. If today's episode resonated with you, you can find free burnout and career clarity resources at pinnaclebusinessacademy.org. And if this podcast supported you, please consider subscribing or sharing it with a colleague who might need it. Remember, you are more than your white coat. You are not broken, and you are allowed to evolve. Until next time, take care of yourself, not just your role.